So I'm going to start off with a really fun and easy tool to use, and that's the shape tool. So that's going to be the 5th position down, and it may be in a slightly different position depending on what version you are, but it looks just like this. And anytime you have a little arrow at the bottom right, you can click and hold and you'll be able to get another pull-out menu. If you want this pull-out menu to stick, you go over here to this little arrow and you're able to kind of drag it around just like a window. I'm going to go ahead and close that out and go ahead and select the rectangle tool. So you're going to go ahead and click and drag and create a simple rectangle. So you'll notice there's what's called a stroke around the box and what is also called a fill in the inside. So the inside is a fill and the outside is a stroke. And we work a lot with strokes in Illustrator, especially when it comes to logo design and typography, and when we're doing icons and symbols, strokes are very important to kind of know and master. So how do I change these colors? How do I switch them out? If you go down here, this is the fill option right here, this little swatch, and then right down here is going to be your stroke option. So you can always just change these colors by double clicking, and you have your little color picker, and you could slide down, maybe make that darker, and then click on the blue and make that a green color, or maybe let's do an orange color. So now we have an orange fill and a red stroke. But let's say that stroke is way too thick. Let's change the stroke thickness to make it a more thin line. So we're going to go ahead and select our object, and we're going to go over to our stroke panel. So you remember when I talked about how important that stroke panel is and how often we're going to be referring to it. So what I like to do with windows is sometimes if there's a big gap between where I'm working and kind of the panels, I like to kind of drag it out so I can keep it close by so I don't have to go all the way over to the right to make options. So I just dragged that window out, and now I can make some adjustments. So that has a 14-point weight. So let's reduce that to 7. So I'm just going to go down to 7, and you notice it made it a lot skinnier. So let's say I don't like this really sharp right edge. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit. I really don't like that angle. It's too sharp. I want a nice smooth stroke. So let's go ahead and select our object, and we could go down here to corner. And we're going to go to a round join, which is the middle option. And you noticed how it made it a nice round shape as opposed to a sharp right angle shape. We can always just select our object and switch back to a corner or a round join. There's also another option, which is a bevel join, which kind of gives it that little bit of an angle. But I'm going to go ahead and keep it on round join and go ahead and drag my stroke panel back. And let's say I want to switch the colors. I want red on the inside, but orange is my stroke. You can go down to here to this little arrow, swap fill and stroke. You can also, there's also a keyboard shortcut, Shift X, if you're interested in the shortcut. But you can go ahead and just flip it back and forth, and so now it kind of switched positions. Let's say I'm sick of the stroke. I really just want a simple box. I don't want a stroke. Go ahead and select your object. Go ahead and click down on this stroke fill, and we're going to go down to none. So this is going to be the option to eliminate that stroke altogether. So go ahead and click on this none symbol, and it's going to disappear. And the same thing goes, I'm going to do Command Z, which is just a very quick shortcut to go back one step. So I'm going to do Command Z, which goes back to the step I just was on. And you could also do the same thing if you select the fill. So I'm selecting the fill swatch, going down here to none, and I can just have a stroke, and this is transparent. I'm going to go ahead and do this so you can see that it's kind of a transparent box. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Now that we kind of understand fill and stroke and shapes, let's go ahead and create a few other shapes real quick to kind of practice. And I have these on a stroke. So when we go ahead and make our circle, and you notice, oh, that's a nasty looking circle. That's not a perfect circle. How do I make a perfect circle? There's a little keyboard shortcut. All you have to do is hold down the Shift key and then drag. It'll make a perfect circle. So let's go ahead and hold down Shift, click, and drag. So now we have some nice, beautiful circles. So let's create a few other shapes. So I'm going to hold down, let's do a polygon. Now I have a stroke on this polygon, but I want to switch it to a fill, so I'm going to go down here and swap it out. So now I have a solid shape. Let's see what else we have. We have the star. Make a star. I'm holding down Shift to make a perfect star. If I did not hold down Shift, sometimes the shapes do not come out perfect, like we saw with the circle. So now that we have our object, we can change the location very easily by just holding and shifting it around, but we can also change the angle. So I'm going to go here. This is called the bounding box, that little blue line that goes all the way around the object. And you go up to the corners and you'll get a little arrow symbol that looks just like this. Go ahead and click and hold and you'll be able to change the angle. What's great about the latest version of Illustrator is it shows you the exact angle that you're spinning the object, which could be very helpful if you want to spin it exactly at 90 degrees. So now I just switched that object 90 degrees and rotated it. So now I'm going to talk about anchor points. And anchor points is the lifeblood of Illustrator. Everything works with, every object has anchor points. So I'm going to go ahead and select this object and show you what an anchor point is. So now that I have this object selected, I'm going to take this is the direct selection tool, which I'm able just directly to select something and shift it around. But I'm going to go down to the direct selection tool, which is the hollowed out arrow, and this gives me the ability to see all the anchor points in the object. So you see this has 6 different anchor points all the way around the object. And I can click on any of these anchor points and manipulate it in any way. So if I wanted to shift this out, I can. I just click and hold and I'm able to kind of adjust these anchor points to create any shape that I need. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the pen tool, and I'm going to create a few shapes and manipulate those anchor points so you can see the wide variety of shapes that you can create in Illustrator.